Hi, I'm Catherine, and this is my audience. Okay. Have you ever wanted to make some delicious pumpkin chocolate chip cookies? Or maybe wanted to impress your friends and family around the holidays with your skills, but never thought you could? Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then look no further, because today I'm going to teach you how to make some of these pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. The first thing you're going to need to do before you begin making your cookies is to make sure you have all the right ingredients and materials necessary. So here are all of our ingredients. You're going to need some pumpkin puree, you're going to need some sugar, applesauce, eggs, flour, cinnamon, salt, baking powder, baking soda, milk, chocolate chips, vanilla, and cooking spray. But that's not all you're going to need, because you're also going to need some materials as well. You're going to need an oven to bake these in. You're also going to need some baking sheets, as well as spatula, mixing utensils, some measuring cups and spoons. And so that's what you're going to need to be able to make these cookies. So once you have all of that, you can start. So these are going to be the instructions to make the dough for your cookies. And it's important to follow the directions in order, because that's what makes your cookies and your baking successful. So first, what you're going to do is you're going to combine all the wet ingredients together. So the pumpkin, the applesauce, the sugar, and the eggs, you're going to combine that together in one bowl. Then you'll combine the dry ingredients together. So the flour, and the cinnamon, the salt, and the baking powder. Next, what you'll do is you are going to dissolve the baking soda into the milk, and you'll add that to the wet ingredients bowl. Then finally, you'll stir in the dry ingredients with the flour into the wet ingredients, and you'll mix that for about a minute or so. And while you're doing that, you can go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And then finally, as your last step, what you'll do is you'll mix in your chocolate chips and your vanilla. And you'll mix that for about a minute or so until all the ingredients are mixed together and you have no clumps or anything. So you've made your dough. Now the next thing you have to do is follow the baking directions. So it's also important that you pay careful attention to following these directions and doing them in order as well, because that's what makes your baking successful. So what you're going to do is first you'll take your baking sheet and you will spray it with the cooking spray, just to make sure none of your cookies stick or burn while they're inside the oven. Then what you'll do is you'll pick a utensil, a spoon, or something that's the same shape to scoop out the dough and onto the baking sheet, because you want them to all be about the same size and shape so they don't burn or they cook evenly while they're in the oven. Then what you'll do is you will put your cookies into the oven and make sure that they are about 1 to 2 inches apart when they are on the cooking sheet, so they don't spread out or all run together while they're baking. So once you put them in the oven at 350 degrees, you'll put them in for about 10 to 12 minutes. And whenever they're done, you can pull them out and put them aside so they cool for about 5 minutes. And then once they've cooled, you can use your spatula to scoop them off and put them onto a serving plate or a serving tray like this. And then you finish making your cookies. So today I taught you how to make pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. And what we talked about is just that you need to make sure you have all you need in order to make the cookies. You need to have all these ingredients here. You also need to make sure you have all the correct materials. So you need to make sure you have an oven you can use, as well as a baking sheet, and all the other materials that we talked about. You also have to make sure that you follow the directions in order to make the dough correctly, because that's what makes your cookies delicious. And then you're also going to make sure that you follow the baking directions carefully. Make sure that you put the cookies in the oven for the right amount of time, as well as separating them on the baking sheet. And that's what's going to make your baking and your cookies successful. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this and learned a new skill, as well as you enjoy your pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. Well,